Hi, everybody. This is me, your friendly neighborhood therapist, Omar. So, I recorded this episode with our guest before everything in Minneapolis really went down. And so, releasing this episode without jumping back in and saying a little something before the episode starts, it just didn't sit super well with me. I wanted to, at the very least, acknowledge what was going on and how this fascist authoritarian regime was impacting all of us through its actions. And I'll be saying what I'm about to say many, many times because I think it is worth repeating that the only way through this is together, that the only way we're going to get out of this is through solidarity. I also wanted to say quickly that your emotional response to what's going on is normal, right? Feeling, you know, hopeless or powerless or feeling disgusted and repulsed by the way this government, this regime is treating human beings. I mean, forget whether or not they're citizens, just like human beings. And seeing everybody react with outrage and with sadness and with a broken heart, that is a normal, healthy response to a completely irrational, abnormal, hateful regime. It's a normal emotional response to seeing just really vile behavior coming out. So, for what it's worth, I think if you see what's coming out of Minneapolis and you feel upset or heartbroken, thank God you still have access to your humanity. Congratulations, you're not a sociopath. Congratulations, you still have some humanity in you, and you still, I think it's also a reflection of hope. I think feeling upset or sad or powerless is a sign of feeling or having access to a little bit of hope, a hope for a better future. Again, I'll speak a little bit more on this in future recordings, but for now, I just wanted to acknowledge that my heart goes out to not just Minneapolis, but anyone whose life has been upended and disrupted and or destroyed by ICE agents. Again, my heart goes out to you. If it can happen to those individuals, it can happen to any one of us. So we're in this together, y'all. The only way through it is together. Solidarity is key. All right. I guess that is all I will say on the matter for now. Anyways, I hope you enjoy this episode. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Pop Therapy, a podcast where we explore the intersection between psychology and pop culture. There's so much to unpack. So let's get started. Well, if it isn't my faithful listeners, hi, it's me, Omar, your friendly neighborhood therapist. There's one thing I wanted to share that is it's random. It's really not relevant, to be perfectly honest with you, but I've been thinking about it a lot lately, which is I miss the days when we would pick someone out of obscurity and make them famous. Now, hear me out. The reason why I've been thinking about this is because Pamela Anderson's been on my mind for a really long time. And I think she's the perfect example of this. I recently saw Naked Gun. I really, really liked it. I loved the originals too. I would watch them as a kid. And so I was a little nervous with a reboot. I always get a little bit nervous with a reboot, but this was great. Pamela Anderson specifically, I thought she absolutely killed it. And I remember one of the most well-known sort of stories of celebrity that at least are ingrained in my mind was how Pamela Anderson became famous. And the story, as far as I know, as far as I can remember, is pretty simple. She went to a football game. She just like went to a random football game. The cameraman saw her, put her on the jumbo screen, and the crowd just like went wild. And that is literally, I mean, and there was like an agent or someone that saw her. And basically that like it started from there. And I really, really miss those days. Now, listen, I actually do not care about Nepo babies, to be perfectly honest with you. It's not, I'm like, okay, whatever. However, there is something to be said. I don't know. There's something to be said for someone that we just sort of like plucked out of, just like out of nowhere, someone being discovered like at the mall or someone being discovered on a college campus. And I kind of miss those days, to be honest with you. When I look at an actor now and I realize that like their dad is so and so, or their parents are so and so, or the, like famous celebrities already. Again, not that it's not an indictment on them. Like, of course, like they can be an actor, they can do whatever they want. It's fine. It does sort of like, I don't know, there's something less whimsical about that, or less magical about that, you know. And I think this is a pretty common trope with like supermodels too. Like when you hear about how Cindy Crawford was discovered, or like Adriana Lima were discovered, it's just like just this model scout was walking down the street, they see this gorgeous person and they're like, you are a star. And I miss that. And it's not relevant to anything that's going on ever. But Pamela Anderson's been on my mind. And she's like, to me, that's like the quintessential, like taking someone, just like seeing them in a crowded room. They didn't, she didn't have Instagram. None of us did, but she didn't have like 1 million followers on Instagram. And it feels like in order to become a celebrity or like a well-known actor or whatever, it feels like you already have to have a gajillion followers. It feels like you have to be famous already to be famous. I don't know if that makes any sense. And I've just been thinking about that. I miss that. I miss the days of Pamela Anderson when we, again, just took a gorgeous person and we're just like, you're a star now. Again, it doesn't mean anything, but that's what I've been thinking about. In any case, I'm really excited to introduce our next guest. This is someone who I met at gay camp. We'll get into what that means specifically. It might not be what you think it is. Yeah, I'm really, really excited. This was someone who worked at the camp that I worked at and was one of the medical providers. She is a nurse. She is a friend. She is a lover of animals, especially sharks, which I'm also going to ask her a lot about. Please welcome into your hearts, Lex. Hi.
I really like this intro of yours. I really thought you were about to be like, speaking of people that got thrusted into the spotlight out of nowhere.
Oh, we'll get into that.
Friend.
Oh my God, what if unconsciously that's why this was
I
mine?
truly thought
Maybe
that was like gonna be my intro, and I was like, honestly, work. Yeah, like because that's exactly what happened. Like
I will re-record the intro.
Like,
just kidding. Speaking of people, no, for real. Actually, one of the questions I have in my little notebook here is, I wanted to hear about. Oh my God, there's so much I want to get into with you. I need to like stay organized, otherwise I'll be on here with you for 75 hours. Hold on. Okay, first, let's talk about how we met. When I said gay camp, so we both met at Camp Brave Trails.
True.
And I also guess, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm like getting ahead of myself. There's so much going through my mind. Tell the listeners who may not know you, who may not be familiar with your work, a little bit about who you are, what you do, what's up.
Yeah. Hello, new friends. My name is Lex, as Omar has already affectionately told you. I am a nurse, an activist, a bleeding heart. I won't say liberal because no, I'm a bleeding heart leftist.
Hell yeah.
A lesbian.
Hell yeah.
And living in Los Angeles. There's a lot of L's.
So many L's.
And
I love alliteration.
Yeah, no, real. Bleeding heart, lesbian leftist living in Los Angeles. And yeah, proud older sister of a trans woman. I am from a family of immigrants. I love sharks, as Omar said, and yeah, that's, like, pretty much it. I feel like
That's a hefty resume already.
right.
There's so much for
Did I say I'm a
us.
nurse? Also, I'm a nurse. There's
Also,
that.
yeah, you did say nurse. You did say.
Okay, okay.
Could you imagine after all that you didn't even mention like what you did for
Yeah.
work?
Well,
Yeah.
that's its own thing. I will say, like, my biggest, complaint about nurses in general is this, like, tendency that we have to make being a nurse, like, the cornerstone of our entire identity, and it
Mm,
totally is, like, a trauma bond with our very, very, very problematic job, but, like, I've tried to really emphasize the other aspects of my life that have nothing to do with my career
hmm.
because what an attestment to capitalism
Yeah.
than, like,
Right.
making your job your
Your
entire
whole
personality?
personality. Yeah.
Girl,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, get a hobby. No, I think it's the same with therapists. It's the same for me too. I certainly like I feel like it's just so easy to center a conversation around what you do. And
yeah,
some of it I think is just sort of like curiosity because people want to know like, so what do you do most of the time? And most of the
yeah,
time, unfortunately, we're trying to pay these bills. So how are you paying your bills? And so I do get like, oh, like how do you spend most of your time in wanting to know that? However, there's the like more extreme side or more like egocentric part of it where it's like, oh, I my value is from this. And
yeah,
it's really easy to attach all of your value to what you do for work and it's really difficult to sort of like separate the two. Like I even find myself being like Omar, like in conversations, just like Omar, there is no reason for you to bring up that you're a therapist in this conversation. Like, shut up. Just like zip
what's that
it and just
meme
listen.
of that guy with, like, all the bulging forehead veins, and it's
Yes.
like when a vegan doesn't
Yeah,
mention that they're a vegan in 5 minutes?
yeah, yeah, exactly. As you see the same meme, yeah, and for like CrossFitters too, it's like
Yeah,
the
oh
same thing. Like,
god,
oh my god, I just want to. You're right. No,
yeah,
it's the exact same experience. So, like I was mentioning earlier, we met at Camp Brave Trails, which is a camp for queer youth. I was the on-site mental health person, not therapist technically, but like mental health, authority specialist there. And Lex was on the medical team there. She was one of the nurses there. And that was like what, like no,
4 years
4
ago.
years ago.
Crazy.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I
Mhm.
volunteered 2 years ago. Have you gone back since? Have you been able to volunteer? Like your schedule's so busy. I would imagine
Yeah.
it might be
This
difficult.
was my first summer that I did not go, to camp, and I very much missed the kids. I missed our campers. I
Yeah.
did not miss certain other aspects,
Sure.
but,
Sure.
we do it for the kids, right? And, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I miss them terribly, but it was just really hard. I think, my career has kind of taken a major step forward, and it is impossible. Like, my schedule is just insane.
I
I
can only
barely have
imagine.
time to, like, eat,
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
be a
Well,
human.
for someone who barely has time to eat or sleep, you look great. The skin is skinning.
Thank you, thank you, yeah, skincare is a big deal to me. That's another one of my loves is skincare, which, has also kind of been an area of my, career I've been looking at, but we can
Ah,
get into that.
okay.
And it actually has been, like, a big struggle, so I appreciate that 'cause I don't have good skin. I have, like, really bad chronic, dermatitis issues,
Ah, gotcha.
and I've
Okay.
been fighting like hell. And so when people compliment my skin, I'm like, "Thank you, it's been so much
It's
work."
been a journey slash
Yeah, like,
battle, I could
cut out
imagine.
alcohol, been, like, eating clean, layering, like, very specific products on my face. It's yeah,
Yeah,
been a
yeah.
nightmare, so that's
I know.
30.
So you mentioned earlier how your career has taken a huge step in this like wonderful direction. Let's rewind back because
Yeah.
I believe from when we first met, I believe you told me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that one of, if not the first video that sort of catapulted you into the public eye was a video during COVID. Am I remembering
Right.
that correctly?
Yeah.
Talk to my listeners about that. Tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about what that was about.
So I guess I'll, like, rewind even further and
Okay.
just say, like, for those of you that really don't know me at all, I am an internet person, but also a real life person. I've been on social media since I was 14.
Oh, wow.
I had a Tumblr. I was like
Oh, yeah.
I had a pretty big Tumblr back in the
All
day.
right. Okay.
And that kind of transferred over to Instagram, which transferred over to TikTok. And it's really odd now because I have these like legacy followers, if you will,
Yeah.
that have
Yeah.
literally been following me since Tumblr, like since I was 14 years old.
Wow. Since
And they'll message
Tumblr
me shit and
days.
they're like, "Do you remember when the X, Y, and Z happened to you?" And I'm like, "Girl, barely. Do you remember that? That's crazy." Like, but it's cool, right? Like, I
Yeah.
think, people talk a lot of shit about, like, parasocial relationships. I think that if you are authentic and truly yourself
Hmm.
in the way you express yourself online, those parasocial relationships are actually just, like, friendships,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I that's how I view a lot of, like, my audience. It's not, like, this unnamed, unfaced group of people. Like, these are people that I have common values with, that care
Mm.
about the things I care about,
Hmm.
that care about me, and I care about them, and,
Yeah.
like, they'll reach out to me for help, and I'll do whatever I can, and it's like this it's like a give and take. It's not this, like, weird, I don't know. I
It's
think
not
that
entirely one-sided.
totally,
Right.
totally, and so
Right.
TikTok was interesting because TikTok kind of gained in or rose in popularity, during the pandemic,
Hmm.
and there was kinda like this perfect storm happening where my Instagram prior to the pandemic was primarily my photography,
Yeah. Which
I
is
didn't really
really beautiful. I
Thank you.
mean,
alexishinkley.net/prints if anyone wants to check it out.
oh my gosh, yeah, gorgeous photos. I do highly recommend checking out her work, y'all. And correct me if I'm wrong. Are you classically are you trained? Did you go to school, or is this just like a skill you've honed over the years?
So, no, yeah, this is all, like, self-taught, and
Oh,
I've kinda, like, gone
amazing.
through the motions where initially, like, I was just a really big hiker and backpacker, and I wanted a camera with me to document the beautiful things I was seeing,
Mm,
and that kind of transitioned into, more formal landscape photography, which transitioned into astrophotography, and then when I got into diving, now I just take pictures of sharks.
hell yeah.
And so but that was my whole Instagram prior to
Right.
the pandemic. I didn't really talk about nursing,
Hmm.
maybe, like, sparingly talking about school. I graduated in 2019. I'd been a nurse for, like, all of 6 months when the pandemic hit,
Wowza.
or 8 months technically, but off orientation for 6 months. So the pandemic hits. Black Lives Matter was, just at the center of our social dogma in
Hmm.
every way, shape, and form. There was one, really horrific case in Denver where I was living at the time, the case of Elijah McClain
Hmm.
being murdered by the Aurora Police Department and the associated EMTs. And he worked at a long-term care facility, and I had mutual friends with him, and so
Oh,
it felt
wow.
like this, like, direct personal hit of this innocent man just walking home at night and losing his life
Hmm.
because of a deeply racist police department.
Hmm.
And, you know, this is also a cause that I've been invested in since really the Ferguson days
Yeah.
because my freshman year of college was 2014 when Ferguson was the Ferguson protests were first happening. That's when I started following Cori Bush
Yeah.
online, who has become like Cori Bush is my Shakira. That is my Beyonce. That is my Taylor Swift.
That's awesome.
She's a nurse. She was a congresswoman, and now I believe she's running for Congress again. Um, I adore her, and all of these things. I think when you're just someone that cares so deeply about other people and like watching our society evolve and devolve
Mhm.
through these movements, it just became really overwhelming to me,
Yeah.
and I also, like, had this innate sense of obligation to
Mhm.
utilize my platform. I was like,
Mhm.
"Okay, I have all these people that, for better or for worse, are trapped and in my echo chamber. I'm
Right.
gonna yell at them about social justice, so
Right,
sorry."
right.
And, also being in landscape photography, that is a primarily white thing.
Space.
I
Yeah,
had
yeah.
primarily white followers, and so I kinda got chased out of the landscape photography scene because I was in all of my group chats going, "Hey, y'all, so, um, y'all have primarily Caucasian audiences. A lot of y'all have primarily Caucasian male audiences.
Right,
Maybe you should consider talking about X, Y, and Z."
right.
And then, of course, there was also the uptick in martyrs in Gaza
Yeah.
in 2021. The IOF essentially just started shooting at anyone that approached the border wall in Gaza. So all of this is happening,
All
right?
this is going
All of
on.
this is
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
kind of like, okay, I've got to do something, even
Right,
if it's just yelling into an empty void.
right.
And so I started posting TikToks. I started talking about politics online, and it became really isolating at first. And then I had that one TikTok where, you know, I essentially got off of work. I was travel nursing in Florida, or not Florida. I was travel nursing in Oregon at the time. I hadn't gone to Florida yet. And I had a really shitty shift
Mm.
where we were on divert, meaning the hospital was full to the point where we weren't even accepting new ambulances. I was at a rural hospital
Oh
in
my
Southern
gosh.
Oregon. So where do these ambulances then go,
Right.
right? And I yelled at my phone for 2 minutes about how, "Hey, boys and girls and theys and thems, if the hospital's full, it's full. Like, we don't have room for your heart attack or your car crash
Right.
or your stroke, and that's why everyone should be, like, paying attention to
Taking
what's going on
precautions,
with
paying
COVID and
attention.
taking,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or not prior, taking the proper precautions, because if the hospital's full, it affects everybody."
Right.
And then I, like, slammed my phone on the counter and went to sleep, woke up at 5 p.m. for my next night shift, and the video had, like, millions of views, and I was like, "Whoa, shit."
Whoa. Was your
Um,
phone blowing up at that time? Like, were people messaging you like, "Oh my god, Lex, we see you. We see this video." Like, or
Not initially.
not
So not
initially?
initially.
Okay.
It wasn't until Mina, which I believe is the niece of Kamala Harris, used, like, my audio from that video
Oh.
in her Instagram story that my friends were like, "Hey, what the fuck?"
Right.
Um,
What's happening? Right.
yeah, yeah, and then I think, like, Sophia Bush shared it too, and now her and I are mutuals on, Instagram, so hey, bestie.
Hey,
Um,
Bessie. From
but
fandom to friendship.
no,
Love that.
literally, well, that's insane. Yeah, that's an insane thing that's been happening lately. But so it just kinda, like, catapulted me because then, like, I even made response videos to that initial video, and all of those got millions of views, and then it was just kinda like this like, tornado of
Yeah.
internet, and again, trying to utilize it to talk about important things. So,
Mhm.
educating people on vaccines and educating people on, like, viral science,
Right.
and viral as in the, like, virus sense,
Right.
not the internet
Right.
sense. And,
Yeah.
also talking about the things we were seeing and hearing happening in our lives and our
Yeah.
communities, and
I
trying to educate. So
I'm sorry to cut you off. I
no, you're fine.
remember you showing me the video and me thinking, what like what a clever, like, not clever in that you needed to be clever, but just like, oh, what a clever way of reminding everybody that whether or not COVID is literally impacting you, meaning like whether or not you have COVID, this will impact you.
Right.
And I'm thinking selfishly of like when I need to get my appendix removed, and I was in a shit ton of pain, and it was horrible, and I had to go to an ER, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, right? If hospitals were full, I mean, what would have happened to me, right? Like, what that experience would have been completely different if
Right.
hospitals were full. And I just remember thinking like, right, what a great way of reminding folks that when a hospital is full, it means it's full, not, oh, our COVID wing is full, so we can't accept any more COVID patients. But
Like,
if
there's no
you,
room in this bitch,
there's
girl.
no
There's nothing
room in this
left.
bitch for
We've
nothing.
got
If you have
people
a,
in the hallway in the ER
right,
on recliner chairs. Like,
right,
do you want to sit on the floor? Like,
right.
that's all
Yeah,
we've got.
right. Exactly.
Yeah, and the thing is like now it's happening again.
Yeah.
But this time it's because of these Medicaid and Medicare cuts.
Yeah.
And once again, our hospital system is going to be
Right.
collapsing.
It's going to suffer.
And this
Hmm.
time it's completely man-made
Right.
and it's Republican made. And we are about to see rural hospitals closing. We are about to
Hmm.
see 1 in 3 nursing homes closing, which means hospitals are gonna be full because nursing homes are one of the primary places that we discharge patients to. If we
Right.
can't discharge patients, they don't leave, girly
They
pop.
can't. Right.
They don't leave, and so we don't have empty rooms. We don't have, like, the flow of people through the hospital. They're just gonna be stuck there,
Yeah.
and so again, once again, it's like I'm having to explain what feels like really common sense concepts, um, to people because it's just not clicking. It's not
Yeah.
clicking.
There's also this really powerful, what's the word I'm looking for? Well funded. That's the word I'm looking for. There's this really well funded machine
Yeah,
on the right, especially the radical right, that is spreading so much misinformation. They're just like straight up lying to folks, just straight up
yeah,
lying to folks. And so hearing you say like, I am trying to help, I'm just like trying to inform people, and it still doesn't, and sometimes it doesn't seem to be clicking, makes sense to me. It's like, all right, by design, right? Like
yeah.
that for sure was by design. You mentioned something earlier about this like obligation to help. Is that something that you feel like has always been ingrained in you? It seems like that's maybe what brought you into nursing in the first place, like that you've always had this like sense of obligation to help, and that this is sort of the natural progression of that. Like, oh, now I'm going to help in this other way via social media.
Yeah, I think that, you can call it eldest daughter syndrome, you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
call it Catholic guilt, you
yeah.
can call it, like, whatever you want, but
Right,
regardless, or, me just being a product of my environment, I have a immediate family member that's an addict, and actually, fun fact, maybe not so fun, like 60 to 70% of nurses all share one thing, and it's that we have immediate family members that are addicts, and
oh
so my personal
wow.
theory on that is that when you grow up caretaking and
Yeah,
enabling, because when you don't understand right and wrong,
of
you
course.
you just enable.
And you're just
Uh,
trying to help. Like you think it's help. You're like,
exactly,
I just want to help
exactly.
this person I love.
I
Yes.
think
Yeah. Yeah.
that all of those things kind of worked together, but
Yeah.
for me, truly the biggest reason I got into nursing, and this is gonna sound bad, but actually, no, it's not. I'm so sick of shaming myself for this.
Good for you.
I did not grow up very well off.
Yeah. Yeah.
My parents got divorced. Dad kinda took my younger sister, mom took me. Mom did not have the opportunity to go to college,
Mm-hmm.
and we really struggled,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember I was working at a tanning salon in high school, and there was this woman that would come in, and she drove, like, a brand new Mercedes, and she had
Mm-hmm.
all these, like, cute different designer bags, and she was so kind, and I remember one time I was just like, "Hey, Krista, what do you do for work? Like, I'm just so curious," and she told me she was a nurse. She was the nurse anesthetist, a
Yeah.
CRNA, and she's like, "Yeah," and she blatantly told me, she's like, "I make $400,000 a year.
Work.
I work at 3 different hospitals, and I only work on average 2 weeks out of the month." And I was just, like, so blown away,
Yeah, of course.
and
I'm blown away hearing that. Even I'm like,
right,
even I'm like,
right.
whoa,
Well, and so
that's
I'm 17, and
right.
I'm, like, having to buy my own groceries
Right.
and financially independent before I'm even out of the house, and I'm like, "Oh, that's my ticket out.
Mm-hmm.
Hello? Knock, knock. Hi, nursing school. I'm
Right.
here." And I think that for me, it just made sense. I love science. I love helping people. I love learning. Learning
Yeah,
is like a passion and hobby of mine. And the nice thing about the medical industry is there's always something new to learn
for sure.
and there's always emerging science.
That's how I feel about the
Um,
mental health world too. Yeah, there's always
totally,
something new. Yep,
totally.
yep.
And those things are like totally intertwined too.
Mhm,
Neurology and psychology are like such
mhm.
an evolving science. Um, and so I honestly like became a nurse. I think at the time primarily to get out of poverty.
Yeah, yeah,
And it worked, and I was able to, I went to a very affordable school, graduated with minimal-ish student loans, and, um, was able to start my career, and
yeah.
mind you, when I first started nursing, I was not out of poverty. I was making, like, $56,000 a year as a night shift ICU nurse,
Okay.
but then started travel nursing and then eventually made it to California. Thank God, God's country. I am here now. And in California, because of the work of unions, and I will say that
Ah,
so explicitly, it is only because of unions. So everyone, if you are not unionized, go get on that shit.
yeah, yeah.
Um, because of unions, nurses in California make a livable wage. They
Mhm,
are treated by and large better
mhm.
than many other areas of the country, and I can speak to that. I worked in 7 states.
Okay.
Um, and
Yeah, I
it
mean, the labor movement. Just so we're all clear. I mean, to echo what Lex is saying, and the labor movement is what brought us the 5-day work week. It's what gave us
yes,
weekends. It's what stopped child
benefits.
labor. It's what it's like overtime,
Yeah.
pensions. Like that is all through the labor movement. It's through workers organizing and demanding their fair share and to be like treated with respect and dignity. So
Oh, yeah. No, capitalism does not,
like that.
does not like treating workers well.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not
They're
like
not famous
the
for that. They're not well known for
no,
treating
and
workers well.
CEOs don't give a shit about you.
Yeah,
The only reason we have even moderately decent working conditions in the United States is because of unions saying, "Hey, actually, fuck you.
right.
Hey, actually, fuck you. We're
Yeah,
not putting up with that." And it is our only way forward as a
yeah,
society.
yeah.
So
So
support your
so
local unions. Don't cross picket lines. Thank you for showing up to my TED
thank you for welcome to my TED Talk. You mentioned earlier, so your video during COVID gets millions of views, and is
Yeah,
that when you started thinking like, wait a minute, I can let me pivot a little bit social media wise,
yeah,
and let me
yes,
start. So I I see for me it is obvious the intersection between policies, legislation, and the medical world. To me, I'm like, well, duh, right? Like you can't
right.
of
Everything is
course.
political.
So
Everything is
everything
political,
is
but
political. So it
especially
makes sense
healthcare.
to me for someone in your field to make that pivot. Did it make sense to you at the time? Were you like, "Oh, yeah, of course," or did it I mean, how did you think about it in your own head when you started to make that pivot?
Um, Honestly, there wasn't a whole lot of, like, thinking, there was a lot of doing.
Do
I
it.
just
Okay.
I
I hear
felt
you.
I didn't feel like I had the option not to. I
Yeah,
felt
yeah.
like I had been, like, literally bred in a lab to yak, and
Bred in a
here I
lab to yap
was.
might be the title of this episode.
Do it. No, I mean, I'm so serious, like,
Yeah, yeah.
whether it's, my, like, leftist politics stemming from my family descending from Northern Ireland where,
Mhm.
girl, we had to fight,
Yeah, yeah.
um, or being gay or, like, you name it, there's, like, something that influenced me to just never shut the fuck up,
Mhm.
and, um, I
And
I
thank
think
goodness.
for social media, it's so hard because,
Mm.
like, I think, transitioning from what I affectionately call, like, a normie
Mhm.
influencer
Mhm.
to an activist, it comes with a lot of scrutiny, a lot of, like, questionable engagement counts,
Yeah, yeah.
but then things really just started taking off, and I think the biggest thing I realized is, like, and for my healthcare workers out there, the biggest thing I realized is that people wanna hear from us.
Oh, yeah.
People want to hear from experts,
Yes.
and we have lost that as a society. Everyone's a fucking expert nowadays,
Yeah.
or at least thinks they are, and that's not reality. We
Right.
have people who are properly educated in topics, and we need to be listening
I
to
also
those people.
For sure. I also think, Lex, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So in my training as a therapist, we weren't told this explicitly, but it was kind of looked down upon to use social media in our
Yeah.
training because there
Oh,
was
yeah.
something about that was like, you might be crossing boundaries. Like, these aren't really your clients. You shouldn't be giving advice. But we were basically, quote unquote, told to kind of stay away from social media. Like, whatever work you're doing should be within the four walls of like the clinical setting. And that's it.
Yeah.
And at the time, I thought like, well, that makes sense, right? Like, these aren't my clients. I blah, 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 blah. I don't know what they're going through. I don't want to give the wrong advice. I don't want to cause more harm. But I feel like now all these professionals are playing catch up. And because so we weren't speaking up, right? Medical professionals and
Right.
therapists, because we were trained like not to, or told not to do that. But then all these random ass people that had no idea what they were talking about sort of filled that void in social
Mhm.
media. Did you get similar advice in your training as a medical professional, or was it not
Yeah,
discussed at all?
hospitals,
Or
they say they want you to be an advocate, they don't
yeah,
mean it.
yeah,
Because in a healthcare setting, being an advocate means caring about your patients as human beings and
yeah,
seeing them as more than just like a diagnosis.
right,
And the hospital wants you to see them as a client. They literally use the word client,
yeah, yeah,
um, that is coming to you for one specific service,
right,
and it is a business model. And
yeah, yeah,
so that yeah, nursing schools are institutions
mm-hmm,
that don't teach students about unions. They don't teach
mm,
students about social justice and how it plays into access to healthcare and removing boundaries for people.
mm-hmm,
Um, they literally are like the epitome of the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
yeah,
Like it's literally
right,
so fucking. It doesn't prepare you for the real world,
yeah,
and they do fearmonger you about social media. They're like, oh, if you talk about your work as a nurse and a patient even thinks that it could be about them, that's a HIPAA violation, which is
right,
not true. That is
right,
not true.
yeah, yeah,
And there are ways to be honest and forthcoming about what is happening in our hospitals without violating
without,
patient privacy.
right, right,
But they make it seem like it's impossible to do that because they don't want folks speaking up.
yeah,
And we have seen, like you said, the negative implications of that.
yeah,
And me, hello, fighting online with chiropractors every goddamn day of my
yeah,
life since COVID hit. Because chiropractors are not doctors and I will
right,
die on that hill.
okay, all
They
right,
are not.
yeah,
They have
yeah,
a certificate of education
right,
from their for-profit schools,
right,
and it was literally like all of COVID, me fighting with these chiropractors and functional medicine doctors who don't understand the difference between a live attenuated vaccine and an mRNA vaccine,
mm,
trying to act like they're some kind of expert.
yeah,
Even within medicine, right? Even within MDs and DOs and NPs, I am not going to go to a cardiologist
right,
expecting him to know how to treat my very specialized bone cancer. Like,
yes,
you
you have to
have to
stay in
be
your lane.
so fucking for real.
You
Stay in your
have to
fucking
stay in your
lane.
lane. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for these people, as a nurse, my lane is human being. And
Mm,
my lane is taking care of people, not diagnoses, of human beings. And
mhm.
that means seeing how a impoverished mom not being able to afford a bus ticket to come and see her primary care provider impacts her ability to treat her chronic conditions
To
and
do
prevent her from
anything.
ending up in the ER because
Right.
of that.
Right.
Right. So, like, all of these things are political.
Mhm.
And us getting away from experts is oh so sad. It's so
Yeah.
sad, and it
Yeah.
creates this power vacuum where the loudest voice is the one that gets heard,
Right.
and as we have learned, a lot of the loudest people are just loud and dumb.
Right. La- and a lot of the loudest voices, and this is more recent. I'm not entirely sure when this episode will come out, but a few days ago we learned that on X, all these massive MAGA accounts were actually foreign accounts. They so not only were they not experts, they weren't even American citizens. They weren't
Correct.
even in, voting, and our voting didn't impact them. Like, these were foreign accounts. I mean, seemingly, we don't know. Seemingly, though, set up just to fuck with our politics.
Well, listen, that was like a complete confirmation of the 2016 conspiracy about Russian bots
And yes, right,
influencing
right.
our election. It's not a conspiracy. That is real.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
real. It
that was confirmed,
and we
right.
had that, confirmed. It was also like, I saw posts about the Department of Homeland Security's X account being based out of Tel Aviv,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Which,
yeah.
again, we can get into all of that,
Right,
but
right. Oh, that
it's
goes deep.
crazy.
That goes
That
deep,
was
deep, deep, deep,
crazy.
deep. Yeah,
And
yeah.
again, we are seeing just how corrupt our leadership is, and our media influx
Yeah.
is, and how controlled it is, and we need desperately to get back to the days of, I don't know, listening to your doctor.
Right. Right.
And
And by
talking to
that
people who know what they're talking about.
right, like, and by that, I wanna make clear, we're not saying the doctor is God, right? But to make informed decisions by people
Correct.
who study this, and that doesn't mean you can't get a second opinion. It doesn't mean that you can, "You know what? I'm gonna go check out this other doctor here," right? But, like,
Just critical thinking.
right.
Critical
Right, right, right,
thinking.
right, right. Yeah, exactly. And, and one thing that I say to folks who are skeptical of therapists in the mental health world is, I get it. Historically, therapists have not been very kind to Black people, to queer people, to women, to disabled people. So I totally understand, there is truth in the skepticism. There's like validity there, right? Like, there's a
Yeah.
lot of things, a lot of fucked up things therapists have done. And yet that doesn't mean that you
Negate the
can't.
entire science and field.
Right. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean you throw it all away and just sort of, like, I don't know, listen to your insane uncle, mouthing off about things that, again, like, he has no idea or understanding of, or anything like that. And it's like, well, don't
Well,
go to that extreme either.
I will say I relate so deeply to what you just said, I think especially as a nurse, because, like, I've seen, all of the criticism about the nursing profession being mean girls or being racist.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, both of those things are true.
Right. Right.
Both of those things are true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Healthcare in this country is innately racist. It was
Totally.
built on racist systems. It
Yep.
was built on racist beliefs.
It was built
A
on
lot.
eugenics. I mean, yeah. I
Built
mean, it
on,
was like,
literally.
yeah. Yeah.
Speak on it.
Yeah.
And I think also a lot of nurses really, really fail to properly learn about their own bias
Mm-hmm.
and the biases that they bring to the hospital every day. And
Mm-hmm.
I think more than anything, I've learned, it's been a very big transition, because I think during COVID, I had this, like, really positive, really proud view of my profession.
Yeah.
And I watched all of that fade and be honestly completely dismantled during the genocide in Gaza, and watching it all unfold and watching the silence from my profession.
Mm.
And then the election, and
Yeah.
watching just how many nurses voted for an anti-science, anti-woman, anti-gay, anti-Black, like, any kind of person of color administration.
Yeah.
And do it with their, like, a whole chest out. Like,
Right.
they
Right.
truly believed in and supported essentially Nazi messaging.
Mm-hmm.
And then having to go to work with those people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and understand at, like, a bone deep level that these people are working in the medical profession and they are a threat to their patients.
Right.
So it's really difficult to be, I think, one of the good guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
That understands the issues that our professions need to grow in, but also fighting for that profession every day.
Yeah. One of the things that you made me think of, it has been a topic that I've been discussing with multiple guests, which is the distrust in media in
Yeah.
general, the distrust in journalism. And again, there's a lot of validity to the distrust, right? These aren't folks, a lot of the folks, they're not hallucinating these things that they're seeing, these contradictions, these conflicts of interest, these like, wait a minute, like this is really fucked up, or this is really racist, or like this feels off. There's a lot of truth to that. And thus we see this shift of people getting their news from these huge institutions like CNN or New York Times to now more kind of like, I don't know, like DIY. And I mean that in the best way possible, but these like individual contributors that aren't backed by these like legacy media institutions. And I think part of
Right.
the reason why folks go to someone like you, Lex, is because they feel like they can actually trust you, right?
Well,
And
because
they,
they can, because I'm
yeah,
literally just a
yeah,
girl. Like, I'm not, and I think that I've
right,
seen that too. My biggest gripe with the mainstream media lately is like they lied for
yeah,
2 years about this genocide in Gaza and like referred to like 5-year-old children as like a young woman in Gaza.
uh,
Like the
the
language is
language,
so deeply
yeah,
problematic, and the refusal to call it a genocide, the refusal to um like provide people with accurate death counts or injury counts, or talking about these systemic attacks that Israel launched at the healthcare system in Gaza, so that even the people they were just injuring wouldn't be able to get treatment,
mm,
right? Or like the people that need dialysis, or the people that just
yeah,
have everyday
everyday ailments,
illnesses.
everyday
And
chronic
we watched the
illnesses, yeah,
media lie and lie and lie for 2 years, and they're still kinda lying, and it eroded trust in such a fundamental way.
yeah,
And so people have every reason to not trust them. People have
right,
every reason not to trust them, and I think that going back to the days of, like, face-to-face information exchange, even if
hmm,
it's, like, through a phone screen, um, is why this mainstream media crisis, if you will, is
yeah.
happening. Like, it's a refocusing, because we have, I mean, not to tie it back to capitalism,
I
but
mean, but
I'm gonna
I
tie
mean,
everything back to
but it
capitalism.
is. I mean,
This is what
I mean
happens
that is.
when they own the information, and they
I mean,
own the
it's the
information
system we
exchange.
right. Capitalism serves as the backdrop of everything. I mean, it's at the foundation. It's at the core of
Yeah,
everything that we do. So it's impossible not to follow the breadcrumb trail back to capitalism, right? Back,
right.
and I get the hesitation to like, I don't want to tie it back to capitalism, because then it starts to feel like, I don't know, like you're a quote unquote conspiracy theorist, or that you're making everything about capitalism, when it's like, well, no, it's just that our economic system is capitalism. So everything comes from that. Like
Yeah,
the economy is not a independent sort of like cylinder working by itself, right? Like separated from everything else. No, it's like it's connected to everything.
right.
The economy is connected to everything. Everything we do, the decisions we make, the laws we make, unfortunately, right? So, yeah, no, I mean,
I think
it's
that that's how this system has stayed operational, though, is, like, this lie that we aren't interconnected with everything.
right.
And that, like, this weird separation of power is
Mm,
how these systems stayed functional. But
hmm,
we're waking up as a society and realizing that, like, everything is connected, and, like, everything is political, and, like,
hmm,
the, education system is tied into, our leadership in this country, our understanding of basic science,
right.
our access to healthcare, like, everything is connected,
And the
and
stripping of our board of education,
oh, yeah.
the dismantling of it, the
Oh,
de
yeah, did you know I'm no longer a professional?
I mean, that is it. That, but this is right. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, one's ability to go into to become a nurse and get federal aid.
Yeah,
Now that is being incredibly threatened and impacted and taken away. So it's like, right, yeah, it is all political. I mean,
everything is
and
connected,
here's the thing. It's
and
like,
it's not even, like, a local connection anymore, like, what's happening in Sudan affects us directly
Right.
here at
Right.
home. What's happening in Gaza, what's happening in Lebanon, what's happening in Syria, like all of these things that used to feel, I think as a kid, it was like, oh, that's so sad. It's
Far
happening so
away.
far
It's
away.
happening over there. Yeah.
No, girl. No, girl. They're using the same Predator drones over protests in LA that they're flying over Gaza to monitor
Right. Right.
Palestinians. Like
Hmm.
everything is completely interconnected. And that's why it is so important to pay attention and
Hmm.
to care because
Hmm.
it's like this lie that you're not gonna be affected by what's happening in that other state or across the
Across the
globe
ocean. Yeah.
has left us so disconnected from one another,
Yeah.
and I think that for me, like, the biggest piece of propaganda that I am actively trying to address both in my life, as well as online is this, like, anti-Muslim sentiment.
Mm.
I have so much love for my Muslim brothers and
Hmm.
sisters, and, like, this anti-Arab, anti-Muslim sentiment has drove me crazy, and I think
Yeah.
especially, like, growing up as a Catholic and watching our society become so deeply anti-Christ,
Mm.
and then watching my Muslim brothers and sisters walk in the footsteps of Christ every single day
Mm.
and act the most like Christ,
Right. Right. I
every
see.
single day, and, like, undoing this propaganda that's been fed to us, I mean, by the frickin' spoonfuls
Yeah.
for so long now, and understanding that like, there is no separation, and
Yeah.
we are all affected by the same systems, we are all connected and suffering under these same systems,
Yeah. I
and
think
I
that's
refuse to let them separate me from people
That
anymore.
is such a good point. I mean, not only are we all connected, right, but we are all suffering under these systems. I think that's the point that I would certainly like to highlight in what you just said, especially is that we're all struggling under the same system. So the problem is the system, right?
Correct.
And I want to encourage folks to you know, to organize, yes, but also to go to those trusted sources, to go to those trusted voices that you believe in, that you feel like are actually trying to inform you and empower you and give you tools and to make whatever difference that you can possibly make. You know what I mean? Or that we can make, right? I think the question has to be, or the answer to this is that like this is something we have to do.
Yeah.
I do my little things here and there, like not buying from Amazon, blah 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 blah. But this is a group project, is what I keep telling people, and it's pass fail. You know what I mean? So we have to come together and figure this out as a group. And individual things here and there are again lovely, but I think the question is more about like what can we do together as a group?
Well, and I think tying it back to, like, mental health especially, I think that this individualistic approach to
Hmm.
life that we
Hmm.
have been prescribed, if you will, as
Hmm.
Americans, is so negative for mental health, and, like, I have never felt better and more engulfed in, like, love and community than when I am out protesting or engaging with
Mm,
my community directly or, engaging in mutual aid, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah.
It is so it is so important to find agency in these issues, and,
Yeah.
like, there's so much doom and gloom, and I think what you just said is, like, really important, and, like, finding ways to plug in and to do something and to channel that energy because we are all suffering under the system, but there is work to do.
Yeah.
There's work to do, and
Yeah.
there's really important work to do. So whether it's joining a DSA chapter in your area or volunteering at a local food shelter or like even, one big thing for me, I think working in the ER, I am very passionate about our unhoused community
Hmm.
and like I will make sure every week I am stopping by and checking in on the unhoused encampments in my area here in
Mm,
LA. Like those are my neighbors.
yeah.
And I think this inability for people with houses to see the unhoused as their neighbors and as active members of their community is so harmful to
Mm,
not just them, to you,
yeah.
because like you should care about your community and you should check in with people. And like as human beings, we are meant to live in a hive
Right.
and
Right.
we are not individual worker bees. We are all working together and it
Right.
is a group project. And I think finding ways to plug in and to engage and to help has been so beneficial during such a dark time for me. And like
That's wonderful.
I've been with my therapist for like 5 years now.
Mhm.
And I love her dearly
Uh-huh.
so much.
Was she the therapist you were working with at camp when we first
Yeah.
met? I
Yeah, yeah,
remember.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes, yes.
my lesbian,
Yes,
like,
yeah.
Welsh
Yes.
therapist gainer. I love her so much.
I remember
Um,
that. Yes, yeah.
yeah, she's amazing. She's I mean, and, the being able to just kind of trauma dump on someone without it being, like, a negative impact on the
Yeah.
relationship, that's literally her job, um, has allowed me to be a more effective healthcare worker, has allowed me to be a more effective activist, has allowed me to channel my energy better, allowed me to show up in my relationship better, which
Mm,
fuels me to do more work. Like, it is and not to go back to the interconnectivity of it all,
yeah.
but, at the core of all of it is mutual aid, taking care of one another, and taking care of yourself,
Yeah. Yeah.
and a big piece of that has been Gainer.
Yeah.
Um
Hell yeah. I wanna be mindful of your time. How much time do you have?
I could probably do another 5. I actually am, like, getting off of this to go into a session with Gainer,
Oh,
which is so iconic,
oh my
but
gosh,
I could probably do
amazing.
another, like, 5 minutes.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Please. So,
so if there are any other questions in your
yes,
notebook,
so there's a
we've
so
just been
we
talking.
can No, please, this is
We've been in
fantastic.
complete flow state
This
this
is
entire
fantastic.
time.
No, no, no. It is so much harder when someone when it feels like I have to pull teeth to get
Yeah.
information from someone. So no, this is a dream.
No,
What I
girl, professional yapper over here,
professional
you'll never
bread
have
to
to.
yap, bread to yap. That is, I'm making that the title of this bread. So, real quick, Lex. So, this is a question that I ask everybody, which is, what is one piece of advice or guidance or wisdom that you got from the therapy or mental health world that you take with you everywhere you go, or is at the core of who you are as a person? So, this could be something you learned from your therapist, a podcast, a book, a friend, anything like that that you take with you everywhere you go.
So, I think the immediate thing that comes to mind, I have a pretty, extensive trauma history,
Mm,
whether it's, like, stuff from my childhood or high school or adult life or COVID nursing, you name it, I've probably had a firsthand experience with it.
mhm,
And I've made it through to the other side of all of it.
mm,
And my therapist is constantly reminding me to trust myself
mm,
and that I have proven to myself my own resiliency and that I just need to like hold on to my resiliency and know that no matter what happens, I will be okay because I'm always okay.
mm.
And I think that that has really, really been transformational in my anxiety, especially when it comes to like relationship trauma,
Okay.
and like relationship OCD. And like I'm in my first healthy relationship, and that comes with so much work. And like people are like, "Oh, healthy relationships are boring." Wrong.
No
Like,
way.
they
They're
are
the
so
best, y'all.
scary.
No,
They are
they're.
so well, they're scary, I think, for someone with a trauma history because it's like, "Oh,
Yes.
what the fuck?
Right.
What do you mean you didn't have, like, an ulterior motive just now?" Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you you have all these defense mechanisms that you have to actively disarm in yourself.
Totally. Which is
And
a part-time job in and of its that's not boring.
oh,
That's a lot
oh,
of work.
I know. This
Yeah.
is like I'm like, "What do you mean boring?"
Yeah.
Like, "What?" What? But throughout all of these things, whether it is transitions in my career, working through, like my shadow work of working through like my
Mm.
CPTSD and et cetera, working through my relationship issue or not issues, but like working through my relationship trauma
Uh-huh.
that I carry with me. All of it has been this need to trust in myself.
Right.
And I think that that's the best advice she's ever given me.
That's
Um,
wonderful.
I hope that that is a good answer because
That's a
I feel like
fantastic answer. I mean, it puts the agency and the power back in your hands, right?
yeah,
It's like you've made it through so much because of you. You did that, right? Like you
yeah.
made it through everything that you made it through. You did, right? Like all the resiliency, like that was all you. And I love that because I appreciate when a therapist kind of like knows their place in, you know, in their clients' lives. Like, I often tell clients when they're like, "Oh my gosh, I couldn't have done it without you." I'm like, "I helped, but that was all you." Like, just so
Yeah.
we're clear, that was all you. And I was here rooting for you. Don't get me wrong. I was here rooting for you and cheering you on. And I believed that you can do it. But ultimately, you are driving this bus. You're behind the wheel, right? And I appreciate your therapist framing it that way to give you some like confidence and hope that whatever's going on, you mentioned your anxiety, that like what keeps you grounded is knowing, oh, I'm going to be okay. Like this sucks right now. I'm really anxious right now. I'm in a lot of distress right now, but I've been through a lot. I did it. I'm going to be okay. And I can really appreciate that. And you, I think that's why when you see other people suffer, I think that's when your like superpowers are activated almost. You know what I mean? Like I think that's why it speaks to you so much because you know what that's like, you know how that feels. You've been there. And so when you see other people suffer, you're like, not on my watch. Like I am
No,
going to do
exactly.
whatever I can. I'm either going to speak on it or I'm going to treat it myself or I'm going to or I'll do both, right? Like but I'm going to
Yeah.
use all of my resources to help end the suffering, which I think is like one of the most beautiful human things. You know what I
Well, and
mean?
there's
So,
always something you can do.
yeah.
Like, I think that there's, like, I really struggle in being like an activist and like an information distributor, if you will,
Mhm.
because there's like so much bad shit happening, and like I think that we can get really bogged down in
Yeah.
that, but there's always something you can do. Like one thing that I was like really honestly kind of proud of myself for this year specifically was all of this food insecurity issues
Right.
or SNAP. I was like, hey, fuck this. I saw like something on Facebook about someone like in my hometown finding a grocery buddy, and I made a video about it, and I got like all of these people to start engaging with mutual aid directly, and I was
Mm,
able to sponsor a family, and like I experienced food insecurity as a kid, and it when the person who I had just brought on as like my helpee
yeah.
was like, thank you for doing this. I was like, yeah, no, like this is what we should all be
Yeah.
doing. Like
Yeah.
this is how you engage with your community. And I don't know, I think that again, like there's a lot to be worried about. There's a lot to feel scared about, but there's also just so much to be done.
Yeah.
And I think that, maybe we weren't meant to know everything.
Everything. I know.
Um
I do wonder about that. Yeah. I'm like, I don't
but
think we were meant to know as much as I don't know. I don't know. Or we
yeah,
weren't meant to disseminate so much information all at once.
right. It's
It's
like this
just
consistent
constant.
it's a blitzkrieg.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah. Yeah.
lightning war, and it's like that's being used as like a tactic against us to overwhelm us, and like you don't need to be overwhelmed. You
Right.
can focus on one thing, pick
Right.
one thing and do something about it. And
Yeah.
like whether it's, if you care a lot about animals, you can foster. Like me and my partner have fostered I think like 15 kittens in the last year. You can like there's an action item for every single issue affecting our communities, and there's something that you can do to either bring awareness or address it head on. So that is what I want to leave people with is like don't ever 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 let them
Yeah.
take your agency from you. Don't
Yeah.
ever let them make you feel like you can't do something
Right.
about these problems. You can, and you might need to be a little creative,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. And
dig deep, sister, you got it.
what I'm taking from this is that there's beauty in that. Like there's beauty
Yeah,
in just like
yeah.
helping your neighbor. Start with your neighbor. Like wherever we most of us have neighbors. If you have a neighbor, start with your neighbor and be like, hey, like how are you? Do you need anything? How are things? Right? Like
Yeah.
And there's joy in that, and there's beauty in that. It doesn't have to be, like you said, Lex, like all doom and gloom all the time. There's like so much beauty to be had in feeling connected to your neighborhood, to the people around you. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Raisin would
Where
also like to
where
say hi
so
and
for
thank
the
you.
listeners, Lex is holding up her cat Raisin. Is that a turtleneck he's wearing?
Yeah, he's naked.
He's
He needs clothes.
so distinguished.
I know,
He's
he's
like
a little gentleman.
so
We call this
cute.
his Frenchie outfit because he looks like a little French
Oh,
man.
that's right. He does. Very Parisian. Where can
Yes.
folks find you if they want to listen to you, as you put it, yap a little bit more about the
Yeah.
things that are important to you?
Traveling nurse or traveling nurse Lex on anything. I'm not on Twitter or X.
Good
I
call.
quit
Good
that
call.
one. Quit hard 3 years ago. Stay true to yourself out there. Stay positive. Talk to your therapist. Do it.
Thank you. Yeah, talk to your therapist. And speaking of, so I am a therapist, but this podcast is no substitute for good old fashioned
No.
therapy. So take what's useful, leave the rest, and don't forget, therapy makes you hotter. Bye.